The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
he missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
We are wafting high above Sweet Home, Alabama, where the skies are not so blue today. Sweet Home, Alabama, where the We Stand United Racing League is coming home to you, or more specifically, the Coliseum that is Talladega Superspeedway, which today plays host for the Geico 275 laps of stock car pack racing, and all the action will be carried live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing channel. In just under 15 minutes, the flagman will show the green, letting loose the stampede of Gen 6 stock cars, kicking up the dust into the 33-degree bank turn 1 for the first lap of round 11 in this 39 race campaign. So hook up the internet feed to the big screen, dish up a plate of barbecued ribs and some slaw, pop open a coffee oatmeal stout, and sit back and enjoy the 75 laps of simulated NASCAR excitement that will be streaming into your home. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soupzon, sitting in for Sean Ambrose to help me keep track of all the action is Michael Smith. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Jason Fleischle, and at his disposal will be the visionary camera locations provided by the renowned Dougie Beard. If you were with us last week at Richmond, you saw James Mullins have an incident-free race and outdistance Colton Davis and Jimmy Mullis. Overall points leader Finian Big DeCuna brought home a 10th place finish, while early top runners Brandon Cretion and Blake Heather limped their cars home in 17th and 18th. Partner, and I'm talking to Michael Smitty Smith, who is here sitting in for Sean today, and Michael knows a lot about this track. If you were looking for a safe place to get around and maybe increase your points, Talladega might not be the place of your choice.
No, indeed, it may not be, Bill. I mean, I don't think Talladega has ever been described as a safe place, in terms of staying out of trouble. As a place that allows and many times welcomes 3 and 4 wide racing, is bumper to bumper at over 200 miles per hour, that trouble seems to find a way of just coming around you all the time at this place. It's going to be flat out, coupled with what looks to be favorable weather and high grip surface tonight for this event. Speed should be at all-time high with that right foot to the floor. Believe it or not, knowing when not to make the move and just ride around could be the name of the game here tonight, and it will be interesting to see who will be able to show restraint and patience over the 75-lap contest. That said, when things do start to happen in earnest around this 2.6-mile superspeedway, you're going to need a little help. A little help to get around here a little bit faster, make moves, as making passes around that high side will require that bump drafting assistance, as well as some keen skill in the pack, is getting most of the side draft while getting the timing just right could be the key of being the first driver across the finish line at the end of the day here, Bill.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. 75 laps, 200 miles. Are they going to sit back and wait? Are they going to try to get up front and run this thing all the way through? What we're going to do right now is take a look at the point standings. Bring those up right there. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different. We put Simon and Poindexter, the stat boys, to work here to go ahead and show you these. Now, the drivers highlighted in yellow, those are the drivers who have wins already this season. If this series uses the traditional, now it's traditional, the NASCAR chase format. So once you're in there. So you see James Mullins up there is safely in there. He's been the man to beat for most of the time this season. He's made victory home. His home, he's known it 4 times in a row. So the Mullins man has made victory home very comfortable. And because of the chase format, you also have Tad, the Lone Granger, safe in there. Blake Heather, Trevor Varun-Varosky, Jimmy Mullins, and Colton Davis also has locked himself in there. If you look at Colton Davis' scores, you see that he only has 187 points. He'd actually be ranked in 20th position, but he's safe in there with the points. But drivers farther down the points, like Robert Ponderosa Cartwright, Dawson Brock, and Travis Henderson, they've got to be careful because they're in jeopardy of being bumped out of that top 16 by drivers like Kenneth Reeder, and also not in there is Brandon Cretion, who's also very fast. You won't even see him in the top 20. So, Michael, we've talked about the venue here. We've talked about the standings. Let's take a second and talk about some of the specific rules for this place.
Yeah, well, normally these guys are running open setup. So usually these guys are able to tinker a little bit, try to make things happen for them just the way they like it. But for the Talladega Super Speedway, these guys are running, as you can see, the guys just getting qualifying underway here, looks like. It's going to be a fixed setup. So everybody's got the same piece of equipment underneath you. You see as qualifying is getting underway. It's going to be about making things stick, being smooth, and not scrubbing off too much speed. So you can see them up on the high side, trying to get that speed going. The main thing with these fixed setups is you know that everybody's got the same equipment. So it really comes down to the driver to make things happen. The length of the race itself is 75 laps, as we said before, 200 miles around this thing. So it's going to be well enough to just be smooth and be smart and try to push it at the very end. At the same time, you're going to see some guys try to hang out front and lead the train as we get around here. They're going to have to be smart the entire time, though, because there's no fast repairs in this series. These WSU guys are not going to have any fast repairs whatsoever, so if you bend it up, if you make things too rough on the arrow, it's going to be real tough for you to stay at the sharp end. There's no incident cap, but here at Talladega, that kind of takes care of itself. If you're having a bunch of incidents, you're not going to have a fast car, so that's kind of a moot point. The big interesting thing that they do have here, which is pretty cool, is the way they do the track state and the weather. Now, actually, it is dynamic weather. These guys are going to be running real cool conditions. We're looking at 81 or so degrees, overcast, track temperature's way low. So grip's going to be high, the temp's going to be low. These guys are going to be able to bury the nose in the back bumpers, push real hard, and the track state's going to start about 20 or so percent. The cool thing about that is these guys actually mimic what the Cup guys, the Xfinity guys do in real life. You get a bunch of guys on course during the real life stuff, well, the track state's going to be a little bit better. So 20%, going to have a good track. Should be a lot of fun here tonight.
There we are. We're back. We had a little technical difficulty there. We are back now. Hey, Smitty, let's take a second and talk about, you spent a lot of time in this car, so we have a few minutes here before they start to grid up. It's all about help, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, you're going to see just right now we got these guys making things happen, qualifying. Right now, a provisional pole is a 51.6. 51.6 is that provisional pole. These guys are running 49.8 or better in the practice session. So over 2 seconds, or about 2 seconds or so per lap, you get a little extra on that draft. That's just by yourself for that speed. So you miss time a pit stop, you don't get that thing right, or you don't have the help, you're going to be losing upwards of 2 seconds a lap to the guys in front. So that's not going to be something you can do. Never mind that, just to stay with the group is going to be big, but also making moves. If you're going to try and make around people, you have to have help. You can't just pull out with that 200 mile an hour speed and try to get around people. You have to have some push. You're going to have somebody help you out. When these guys lock down on that yellow line, you got to go a long way around, which means you're going to need a big push from behind to do it.
Now, one of the rules we have here is we don't like to give away anything that happened in the race today, so we're not going to give you the winners or anything that might have happened, but we want to talk about some of the strategy that we saw. And you talked about that yellow line, and that was really the place to be if you were leading. Is that kind of how these sim racers are going to do it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And one nice thing, too, was these guys are going to have some good grip here with this cooler temp. And the bottom is where you want to be. It's not like Daytona where you're going to have a bit more of that understeer in the middle of the corners where you're going to start burning up the right front. It still can be a thing a little bit here, but these are bigger, longer corners, and it's not as big of a deal. So, yeah, expect the bottom line to be smack dab on that yellow. Maybe up just a smidge as they enter, but it'll be pretty much on the yellow. If anyone's going to get around somebody, it's going to be going around the long way.
Now, one of the things that's big in pack racing, in real world racing, is they talk about the side draft. Is iRacing able to implement that in? Does the side draft actually play effect like it does out there earlier today, Sunday, in the real Talladega race?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're going to be able to absolutely get a little bit closer to the guys as you go through the corner. That's really where we're going to see it happen. When you get through that corner, you're going to start having the thing bind up a little bit, if you will. It's going to kind of scrub some speed as you go down to the corner, then kind of sinks into the banking. If you can get a little bit closer to the guys next to you, you are going to have some side draft. Now, obviously, the risk there is the guys on the inside line drift up the track. So yeah, playing the side draft, playing the pack racing deal, and putting your nose where it belongs, not where it doesn't belong, will be important.
Now, when you're sim racing, a lot of people have 3 monitors, and that makes a big difference. How is vision, actually, when you have cars next to you, how are you able to sense where they are? Do you use that audible spotter that helps you, or is it peeking over, using that button to left, look right? What do you do?
Well, personally, I do have the triple screens, and I don't ever actually really look. I do know people that do the left look and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know how
they do it either.
Yeah, that's incredible. Anybody that can do that. Yeah, so what you really are trying to do is just kind of have a gauge. And what you can see with these super speedway races is a bit of that blocking, which is not usually a normal thing that you want to say it's okay, and I would say road racing, etc. But you're going to have it out here a little bit. You do have to play the mirrors, and you don't want to do it late. So having your relative up, see what's going on, checking the mirrors on a regular basis. If it's close, you might want to let it ride. Making a last-ditch move to block usually spells disaster.
How hard is it if you've got a good car? Can you do the sandbag technique here and lay back? Let's look how big our field is here today. I'm looking at drivers who've qualified. Looks like about 32 drivers here. That's a pretty big field to lay back. You probably wouldn't want to lay too long.
No, I find it to be pretty tough to get to the front unless you got a bunch of people on the same page. And if you're going to be hanging out in the back, it can be safer. If you're in the very, very back, maybe a few seconds off the front. These guys have been running with each other. They should know, kind of how everybody works a little bit on those intermediates and some of the short tracks and whatnot. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a dice roll. If you're going to hang out in the back, you're not going to get after it in the beginning. Then you're going to have to make some passes. And if this thing goes green or you don't have things fall your way caution-wise, that could be a real tough ask.
Now, qualifying is pretty much done. They still probably have some guys that still have to do some stuff, but the times are up there. I want to mention a few names here to keep an eye on. Brandon Cretion. He doesn't have a win yet this season. He had one win taken away from him earlier because of a merging onto the track that it was kind of an innocent mistake that he was making over and over. I don't think he was doing it to gain any advantage, but it was a rule violation, so he lost a win there. He's outside of the top 20. I mentioned him in the pre-race show. He's always fast, but boy, if there's bad luck out there, he seems to find it. It's good to see him out in front. We have another few winners in there. Keep an eye on Travis Henderson. I talked about him. He was down in the points trying to make that chase, running about 17th or 18th right now in the points. Wants to have a good win. I see that the Lone Granger is out here. He has a victory already. And looking at, I'm going to see you probably, we'll talk about him a little bit more. Looks like he qualified 6th, and that's James Mullins. He's already got 4 wins so far. The Mullins mine has 4 wins so far this season. But Smitty, I guess if there was a track that was the equalizer, if there was a track, let me put it this way, and I'm certainly talent challenged, I'd like to put it. If there was a track I think I would like to run with the big boys, this would be it, because I think it really kind of mushes everybody together.
No, absolutely, and I'll be honest with you too. It's gonna be one of the things that if you're keeping an eye on the live timing through the broadcast here, it's definitely one of those things where if you can see the differences between everybody, it's really, really close. And with the fixed setups here today, it's absolutely going to be not the car. It's definitely going to be, I missed the setup. Nope, that ain't going to be the case. So yeah, if you're somebody who has a little bit tougher time around these joints, maybe you're not an oval driver, maybe you like the road stuff a little bit, you might really like these kind of places because you get a chance to hang out in the pack, hang out with the good guys, and learn some things and get up there and up front. And we see some guys even in real world racing where they end up putting up a big show on these super speedways.
And if you want to keep track of your favorite driver, if you have somebody that you're watching at home, you might want to click over there and add into your to your monitor there the live timing and scoring that's available on GSRC. That's our website, GSRCchannel.com. Okay, we're going to be gridding now. And as we see here, they're just about still in the driver's meeting. They start to grid. They have a full lap around here, Smitty, do you think?
Yeah, you're going to get a full lap here. Yeah, absolutely. And we were actually watching them there. The number 7 there, Blake Heather, he was actually going around making things happen. And it looked like he might have just snagged up the pole. We were watching him there on screen. I think he snagged the pole away from Cretion there.
I think he did. Heather, a former winner as well. As now we're going to go through the grid real quick. We'll run these 10 at a time here. Your pole sitter, Blake Heather, in the number 7 machine, running that Coors Light machine. You'll see a little outside of him in row 1, Brandon Cretion. We talked about him earlier. Second row, Derek Prater in the number 51 machine, running in 4th position. Somebody trying to stay inside the chase, Travis Henderson. Tad, the Lone Granger, inside of row 3. Outside of him, a name we don't hear much from, Greg Thompson, running in the 6th spot. A name we hear a lot of, and that is the Mullins Man. Do you know the Mullins Man? Well, yes, I do. He lives on Victory Lane. That's James Mullen, running the number 5 machine, a dark blue machine today. Now, just to confuse the announcer, outside of James Mullins is Jimmy Mullis, running in the number 22 machine. 9th and 10th position goes to Kenneth Reeder. Reeder sitting just outside the chase. Needs a good finish right now. And a guy who's always competitive, Zach Wadet, rounding out the top 10. Smitty?
After that, in the number 79, you do have Thomas Henderson. He's going to be starting in that 11th spot inside row number 6. And then you've got alongside him Cordell Cullen. And then Chase Sutton and David Nennan in the 13th and 14th spot. Colton Davis and Ryan Irby are going to be in the 15th and 16th starting spot. 17th and 18th belong to Brad Walsh and Alex Skinner, followed by Finian Duchna and Robert Cartwright in 19th and 20th, Bill.
Robert Cartwright, a favorite of many of us. Rounding out the field here as we're going to go to the final 30. Matthew Cisna is going to be flying around the number 27 machine. Jeremy Poole going to dip in here for the number 2 machine, a beautiful yellow car today. Riley Ronnie. Now, there's a name I don't know very much from. It's good to see him in here driving the 77 machine, going to be starting 23rd. Ryan Duquette in the 24th position. Trevor Varun-Varosky in that beautiful number 10 machine, way in the back today, starting 25th. James Howland Wolf in the Napa machine in 26th position, driving the number 15 machine. Looks very much like the Darrell Waltrip tribute there. Nick Parrott back there in 28th, 7th place. Mike Manley in 28th. And the final 2 cars rounding out Dakota Bowman and Nolan Sutton.
As we got it all run down there, one thing I do want to point out here is we finish up this pace lap. We still got about half of it to go. One of the dangers here is actually missing a shift. We'll see it from time to time in both the real world and in the sim race, where you actually start trying to get the most you can out of the gear. You start to try to make things happen. You miss that shift. And well, out here at Talladega, you're going to have those guys right up on the back bumper as you see it on screen right now. These guys make it around here nice and easy. But yeah, so let's keep an eye out here at the starts. Hopefully nobody does it. But if you do miss a shift, things can get ugly in a big, big hurry.
You can see the pace car leading them down. The number 7 machine will be given control, and that brake Heather waiting to get on the gas. Outside of him is Brandon Cretion in the 02. Heather holding them back. He's waiting. The flags are waving. Gather up the chicken. Take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn, and Blake Heather leads them into quarter number 1. Brandon Cretion on the outside keeps it 2 by 2. Everybody looks clean. Go ahead, Smitty.
Yeah, that was a close one. I actually had one driver going down below the yellow. He's just made it up now. There was a bit of a checkup on the inside row, but things are starting to get cleaner here as I go down to the back straightaway. For the first time, outside row is starting to make things happen with the 02 getting pushed by the 24.
That 24 machine is, of course, that's Travis Henderson out there in a beautiful paint scheme.
Well, I'll tell you what, too. You saw the 02 got in front of the pole sitter of Blake and basically just chopped the nose right there. The one thing you're not going to see here as much as maybe you see at Daytona is hanging out at the outside and let that guy come up with you, especially when you got a train of cars. If you can get out of the front, you can slot in, you're going to do so as the number 02, Brandon Creation, going to lead lap 1.
Leading that one, but look now at what the outside lane is getting. That's the 24 machine getting a push from Greg Thompson. Thompson gives him a run, then he gets back off him. Smitty, do you have to get off him on the corners here?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, you can do it. We go 3 wide.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
3 wide. The 17's going to make things happen. Maybe a small bobble from the 2-4. 17's coming up. He's got to push from behind. Let's see if he can make things happen. As they come through turn number 3, 2-4 is going to slot right back in. Let's see, he's going to lose some speed. 8-19 is going to be right behind him. Maybe 3 wide outside. Is this lap 2 or is this lap 20? I don't know. This is crazy.
Henderson in that 24 machine got a big push and then lost all of his momentum, and they went around him on the outside. Henderson falling back now into about 5th position on the outside. We'll keep an eye on him as we ride on board. Looking ahead of that that's the Wrangler machine there. That's the number 8 machine of Tad, the Lone Granger, in a kind of an old
The throwback
Earnhardt Senior's machine, yeah.
I'll tell you what, that was interesting right out of the gate. These guys definitely are not just wanting to ride around so much. You saw kind of get it when the sun's shining. Get that run on the outside, slot right back in, and we made it 3 wide as soon as he had the opportunity. So I think if anybody was paying attention there, the name of the game is do not leave the middle hole open because it's going to get filled.
And now they kind of get into single file. They get the train. But the guy who has missed the train is the number 24 machine of Travis Henderson. He just cannot tuck in. He's left out there all by himself as he drops farther back. He's right alongside the number 21 of David Nannon, but he's going to get around him, then tuck it inside is James Mullins. No room for Henderson to go.
No, it's still not going to happen for him. And that's the thing. We saw him at the sharp end pushing around there at the front. Well, now he can't get back inside. He's dropping way, way far back. He's going to be outside the top 10 before he's able to get back in there.
There he goes. He ducks in there. If he can keep his momentum up, he ducks in front of the number 60, Ryan Irby. You got to watch out. You don't want to get stuck on the outside. And there's another driver on the outside. That's the 17 machine. He pushed it a little wide. That's Greg Thompson. I believe the same thing's going to happen to him now, unless he gets some help.
Well, and help is coming in front of him this time. Look at them all starting to come out. It's actually pretty surprising to me the amount of racing going on here this early. I would think these guys would be content to ride around, make things happen. We got a caution on the speedway. 68's got issues.
Looks like Chase Sutton was involved in it, the number 4 machine. Finian DeCuna also involved. Let's see if we can see it up here. The 68 turned the 4. The 68 was that Cartwright, I believe, is the 68 machine. Don't want to misidentify anybody.
Yeah, it was tough to tell. It almost looked like maybe the 4 had come down, but we couldn't tell from that angle. I'm not sure we can get another shot at it from maybe above. Get a little bit better angle on what happened exactly there. You see there, they are 3 wide. They're kind of in the center of your screen. Nope, it definitely looked like the 68 came up a little bit. The 4 was giving them the room, so that's too bad. And it just got worse from there, collecting several cars. First caution on the speedway inside of the first 5 laps.
Yeah, I'll go back and see if I can tell all the people who were involved in it. Cisna was involved in it. On board right now with Sutton there. The 4 was involved. It looks like the 3 machine also was involved there. My goodness. Well, I think we probably there's enough cars involved in that one that we can classify that one as a big one.
I'll tell you what, anytime that you have something like that go down, it's certainly going to be a big one, especially with a group of 30 guys. We do have several guys on track, in the pits right now. The number 8 making a trip down pit road. The number 24, you also had the number 50 of Cordell going down there. So several guys making it in. I'll tell you what, if you're a little bit further back in the pack, why not jump in there and try to make things happen early?
Yeah, I would imagine some of those were probably to repair damage, and some of them might have just been in the back looking to gain some track position there.
Well, I'll tell you what could be interesting too. You get in there a little early, you get your full fuel. If you still have a clean car, and this thing decides to go green, you might be a little off strategy and make things happen. Remember, at the end of the day, when you come out of the pits, you got to have help.
Well, Spinny, I know I've spent some time at Daytona, and I know that the tires and the handling can go away at Daytona. I'll be honest with you, I've never really done a long run here at Talladega. Is that less of a factor here?
Well, I'll be honest with you, just got to be, smart, smooth, and collected. Anytime that you can get around this thing and not make mistakes and just hit your marks, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Brandon Cretion, our leader, early on out there in front, followed by Blake Heather. Prater in third position. I'll round out the top 5. Jimmy Mullins. Looking for the driver who came in, I think Granger in 12th came in for a pit stop. He might be the driver. No, I'm not sure Granger. Oh, actually, it's hard for me to tell. Actually, if Granger came in, usually I can rewind to where they put you right in the pit lane. But here at Talladega, when you hit the rewind, you miss the pit lane, so it's going to be a little harder for me to tell. I believe Granger did pit though. 30-second stop. What if for Granger? That's one of, we haven't talked about it. I think anyone who's watched any kind of stock car racing knows that that's one of the things that makes this place unique is where the start-finish line is, and it's all the way past pit exit, way down towards turn 1, and really smart. Really makes for some exciting endings.
Yeah, exactly. If you try to compare this place to Daytona, you start going down to the tri-oval of Daytona, and that's about game over. Well, it ain't over yet here at Talladega. Yep. You get out of the tri-oval and out of that dog leg, and you can actually make things happen inside, outside, 3 wide, 4 wide. Got a lot of options.
One thing we'll be looking at today, since this is such a big track, these are going to be very, very long pace laps. We'll stay here with you all the way through this one. Don't expect us, though. Don't be surprised if we don't take a break or two as they do 2 or 3 laps around here. I believe pit speed, I think the pace car speed is 80 miles an hour. Is that what I saw?
It's right around there. I think it's about 75 or so. Yeah, it takes a long time to get around here. I mean, you think about it, we're already doing, 50 or so seconds at speed. So, yeah, you bring it down to only 80 or so, and it's going to take us a bit longer to get around here.
Take a look back here at some of the drivers who are out. I don't believe I don't know if it's Ronnie Riley. I don't believe he actually took the grid. Colton Davis, 3 laps down. He's got that car back out there. Driving the Cane's Chicken Fingers, always tasty machine. Jeremy Poole, 1 lap down. Don't see his car out on the track. Alan Wolf in the 15 machine, that Napa machine, still in the pits. Probably trying to get a little extra work done after some contact made in that early incident. And Matthew Cessna, 1 lap down. 25 cars still on the lead lap.
Yeah, we still got lights on the pace car. We got another time to go around here, and then we'll hopefully get the lights off and get another one in. So still another lap and a half under pacing speed. The one thing I want to keep in mind here, we got about halfway through the field here, back from Cartwright on back, 17th on back. These guys, possible damaged cars, the guys who took tires, a little bit different group there. The guys in the front stayed out. They're going to have, 5 or so old tires. It's not going to be too big of a deal. But we saw a lot of racing going on at the very beginning of this thing. And I'll be really curious to see if the front runners are like, okay, that was fun and all, but we got a long way to go. Meanwhile, the guys in the back, whether they have fresh tires or damage, they're going to try to be making hay when the sun shines. So be curious to see what the split idea is between the whole group.
Absolutely. Come around, 1 more lap to go. We're going to stay with you here. I hope you all appreciate Smitty and I staying with you for this first caution. We talked about it in pre-race show. We said we're going to stick around no matter how long it is. I have some show tunes ready if we start to run out of things to say. I do a mean South Pacific, so hopefully we won't have to break into those. As the lights stay on the pace car here, we're hopefully going off. We imagine this will be our last lap around. Maybe we can take a little peek at some of the paint jobs here. Let's take a look, see one that I like. How about we take a quick peek? The number 21 machine, David Nannon. Pretty little mobile car. Mobile 1. Running in 7th position right now. There's our director Hunts for it. There you go. You can see the overcast. Smitty talked a little bit about it as we look at that 21 machine. What this series likes to do is they mimic the real world weather. And I think it might have rained a little bit in Daytona this week because the track is a little greener. Usually it starts at what iRacing calls 40% rubber. They started at a 20%, so it's a little greener than usual.
Yeah, it might have rained in Daytona, and you know what? It might have rained here in Alabama as well. For sure. I mean, it could have been the case. You see them lined up 2 by 2. I'm not sure the geography is any of our strong points.
It's splashed. It's all in the south.
And once again, you got that O2 accretion. He's on the front row at the front side. Remember, he just got nipped at the end for pole, and he's got his primary qualifying contender there with Heather alongside him. So the arguable 2 fastest drivers, even with that fixed setup, leading everybody around here to try to make things happen out of turn number 4. We got still a long way to go before you get this green flag. This is definitely going to be where you got to take a deep breath, make sure you're in the right gear. You don't want to be riding around in 4th and forget to put in 2nd. Keep an eye out, see if anybody messes their shift, and hopefully we get a good clean start here, Buck.
Pace car is in. I'm not sure if Heather is happy out there in that outside of row 1. What we're going to do is give a little tribute to Spinal Tap right now. And what we want you guys to do is turn it up to 11 as we're going to rev it up. A lap around Talladega as your leader, Brandon Cretion. I hope the neighbors enjoyed that. Being pushed by Derek Prater. Prater in that 51 machine. Also tucked on the inside, Kenneth Reeder. We talked about it, Smitty. Look at the 21 now, or the 7 machine there. Stuck on the outside as the 21 starts to get in there. David Nannon. Boy, I'm not sure if you want an even position for your starting off of those yellow flags. As again, the 7 machine having trouble finding a spot in there. Is he going to try to duck in between the 17? Nope, not going to do it.
Yeah, the outside's definitely tough on those restarts. You got to make sure you're going. You got to make sure you have help. You got to have that help at the right time. There's still a bit of ebb and flow going on. I'm a little surprised at the hanging out on the outside. I have to assume he's going to try and drop in here at any second. You definitely don't want to be on the outside. There he does. The 7 dropping in there. He's got the 34 right behind him. Look at the 8 getting a run. Look, he's going to try to keep it going on the outside. The 24 is going to try to give him a run and a push down the back straightaway. The 8 of Granger getting pushed by Henderson. Remember, we saw Henderson up there before. He's no stranger to pushing. He's going to make that all the way up here. Let's see if these guys can start making some inroads on the top 5. That is nose to tail.
6-car train up and top goes all the way back to Greg Thompson. But now I think they're going to be able to run him down. Heather's in line. He's got a nice toe. They're going to be able to pull back up on the back of Thompson, turn this into a multi-car 13, 14-car train. Heather happy.
was going to say, this is exactly what I expected we were going to see right out of the gate. It was a little bit more nose to tail, being a little bit smarter, being a little bit smoother. You do have one driver, the 17, taking a peek there. I assume he'll go popping back down. It's not the most exciting stuff when you're behind the wheel, with the exception of the heart rate. Well, now down the inside is the 17. Looks like the 60 left it open. You see the 17 on screen, get to the inside. 7's got to run, maybe look at the outside, very close to the wall is the 7. 34 going to duck back down. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, what happened is the 21 machine of David Nannon looked like he was going to make a move on the outside. And so Irby back there in the 60 said, I'll go with you, but then Nannon didn't go anywhere. And that's what you said, it left the door open, whoa, for Greg Thompson to make a move. And they lose momentum up in front. Thompson now in the 17 ducks to the outside. I'm not sure if it was either go to the outside or maybe hit the brakes and back up into the other guys. I don't think he really wanted to go out there, and now he's stuck.
Yeah, you really don't want him on the outside. As you see, the 17 is exactly that. The person's stuck on the outside at the sharp end there. And again, it's what, about 7, 8 cars now in a line. This is what I was expecting to see. In a line, being smart, getting down to the end. It's lap 14 to 75. Long way to go. We're still going to have some green flag pit stops, hopefully. So yeah, you got to be smart. Got to make things happen later on. You'd be surprised as the 17 finally slots in there between the 24 and that 18 car. You'd be surprised at how much those pit stops do start to shake things up. You don't just come in and go out the exact same spot you were. So if these guys start to play nice, then they're going to be okay for the long run. But it doesn't look like anybody wants to wait here, Bill.
Granger in the 8 in that Wrangler car, and that poke to the outside. Thought he was going to go somewhere, and then the 21 machine pulled out there with him. And now the number 1 machine pulls out. Yeah, there goes Reeder out there. So it's Reeder, and followed back there behind him is Nannon. Reeder, Nannon, and Granger on the outside trying to make it work.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, though. It look like a lot of nervous cars. They may be pushing and shoving, but they're not very cool, calm, and collected as far as the lines go. And if you're a driver who's trying to push somebody else, really, really hard to do when the guy in front of you has a hard time holding the lane.
Oh, my goodness. I think it's just a matter of time before the drivers on the inside wiggle out and the drivers on the outside wiggle in. Look at them. They are not able to. The cars in the front, Smitty, are not so bad, but it's the cars back in the train are really sawing on the wheel.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're going to see that as you start heading towards the corner, right? When you start having your sight lines messed up, can't see that yellow line, can't find out where you want to actually, curl into the corner. So that can be where we see it a lot of times. But these guys are having a hard time. Middle of the corner, straightaways, doesn't really matter where. There's a big check up there from what was P2. Looks like they're going to try to slot in. I'm not sure if that was by design. One driver ducks in for the 8 car on the outside, that bright yellow car you can see on screen. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He's going to keep pushing on the outside.
That's the veteran. That's Granger. Look at the run that the 60 has on the outside. They go 3 wide. He has no help, though.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and give up whatever position you're running, you go ahead and do exactly that. A big run doesn't mean anything unless you got help. You can see him 3 wide, but now going backwards as the 2-4 gets in there.
And again, I believe it's the 60 of Ryan Irby. I believe he actually probably didn't want to go out there, but he had such a run. Probably said, all right, let's move up there rather than check up. It's probably one of the last things you want to do is check up when you got somebody behind you.
Yeah, if you got somebody right behind you, you can't be slamming on the brakes or anything like that, but at the same time, getting it easy on the right foot is still a smart way to go because you don't want to get locked out on the outside. Better to hang out on the inside, lifting off the right foot, maybe dragging the brake versus going to the high side and getting dropped. Right now, you do see him 4 on the inside, 3 on the outside. The number 1 starting to get a charge on the outside with the 8 pushing.
On the outside, it's Reeder and Granger. Now, the question is, Granger is fast, and he's really a good pusher as well. If Granger can push the number 1 up there, will Reeder in the 1 car leave him hanging? And Granger loses all of his momentum. There goes the Wrangler machine, dropping.
The only thing I can think of here with these guys trying to push that hard and dropping back that quick is they're getting hot. That's the only thing I can think of is they've been burying that nose in the front end or the bumper, and they're just overheating the engine. They got to drop back and get some coolant, get some cooling. But 8 way far back. That's I don't know. If you're trying to cool the engine, you're definitely going to do it back there, but you're also going to say sayonara to this whole front pack.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Either either he lost his nerve or he has something wrong. And I know Tad Granger losing his nerve doesn't really seem like an option.
Have you ever seen those sci-fi movies where they got the little blinking light and they don't see it and they don't see it and they don't see it and all of a sudden they see it and it's like, hey, you got 10 seconds before you blow up? That could have been what happened to the 8 right there. Shoving real hard, making things happen on the outside. All of a sudden might have looked down and said, oh, we're a little warm right now and I got to drop back, and a quick sudden drop, it doesn't take much to lose that whole draft. That being said, back at the front end, we are going to come up on a couple of lap cars here in the next lap or so. Things could get even more exciting if it's not exciting enough already.
We're on board now with your leader.
That is on the outside. Yeah, that is the Reeder on the outside, the number 1. He's going to have one look at it to see a driver on the high side staying high. Looks like the second one's going to do the same. Remember, he doesn't have anywhere to go on his inside. Well, now he does. A little bit of a shove from the 2-4 says he's clear. Well, the Reeder staying on the outside being nice, but not for long as he drops back in. I'll tell you what, he actually just helped clear the 2-4, you guys. Reeder and Henderson now 1 and 2 on the inside row.
And that car going a lap down there was Robert Cartwright. A nice job from him to stay out of everybody's way. As your leader is Reeder. As they come across the start-finish line to start lap number 21. 3 wide with the 60 on the high side, but he has no help. We've seen this before from him. He gets up there, but then there's nowhere to go.
You know, here we go, the 0-2 on the outside. Remember, that's how he got the lead in the first place. He's getting pushed on by for the lead. Remember, he dropped in as soon as he could. This last one that went by, Reeder took the lead with the 2-4 pushing. He waited long enough to get his help to get right on around. Reeder, you're a leader on the inside there. Turn number 4 as we come off of here. That's number 1 on the inside. The 0-2, the Miller Lite car on the outside of him. Not as much help, though. As you can see, now the pack is really formed up.
That 50 machine that was up there pushing Cretion is Cordell Cologne. He was making a good run, and then, boy, almost looked like he'd get a push. I've never experienced a push. Can your car push here when you get behind somebody, Smitty?
Yeah, it can. It really depends, too, where you get that help. Let's say that you get a little bit of a bump draft from the wrong spot in the back end of the car. It could happen.
Brad Walsh. We have a Brad Walsh who's spinning in the wall. That's car number 88. Is that going to bring out the yellow? He's maybe not, because he's still going straight.
I think we're going to stay caution. Oh, there it is, caution on the speedway. And that was actually it was not a sim caution. That was the admins making the caution happen right there.
Brad Walsh got tied up with the 29 machine.
3 cars involved. That was the 88 involved. Looked like it was possibly the 79 involved as well.
My apologies. I called it the 29. I believe it's the 62 as I was looking at it upside down. I believe it was the 62 machine of Mike Manley.
Yeah, indeed. You can see there on the inside was the 62. 88 alongside there, and then they came up and they collected what looked like the 79. So 3 drivers there collected. They ended up throwing the yellow on that one, so good news for them. But we are void of our first green flag stops of the day.
I would imagine now we'll stay with you here until the pit cycle until they come out of the pit stop, see how they line up behind the yellow, behind the pace car. I would imagine, Smitty, that those guys who came in on lap 8, we'll see if they come in again. I would imagine everybody's going to come in this time.
Yeah, I think this time you're going to see everybody come in here after 23 laps or so. Interesting point, Cretion, Mullis, your first 2, they were able to get around before that yellow flag flew. So Reeder made all that work happen. Back in Thursday, coming down the pit road. And the 60 stays out. Right away, Ryan Erb, we've seen him very racy on the outside, stays out, as does the number 8 of Granger. He was a little bit further back, 15th at the time of the yellow. He stays out as well. So does a couple other drivers.
I'd be surprised if 60 if Irby stays out forever. I believe he's going to stay out and pick up some bonus points for leading a lap. Now,
several drivers having issues in pit road. You can see the number 5 right now is all crossed up. We had 3. Oh, we got another one leaving. You guys are easy on the right foot. For those of you watching at home, if you're ever doing this sim, maybe think about leaving in second gear, not first. Wow, unbelievable.
Oh, he's still in there. Now
The good news is it is caution right now, so
we're
while they're
looking
going
at-
to lose positions, they're going to get back in line when the green flies. But sorry, gentlemen, we caught it all on film. You are you are in for life now.
that was James Mullins having some trouble there. Leaving in second gear. I don't know that the girls don't like that. They like to see first gear tire smoke. Come on.
They do. They like to see the tires squealing and making things happen. But I'll tell you what, a little safer bet. Second gear, buddy. Second gear all day.
Yeah, it's all about priorities, I guess. This year for let's see if Ryan Irby comes in this time. He stayed out, and then we will go to break. These long hills. You're looking at Irby right there. The pace car has no volume, no mass to the pace car as Irby gets right up behind him. Granger may stay out. Granger did that lap 8 pit stop. He may stay out for a while, but it looks like he's coming in. At least he's just playing with us here. Yep. Tad, you can't fool me. So Granger stays out to lead a lap. Irby's going to come in after leading his lap. He'll tuck in behind all the cars. We're going to take a break like now. We'll be back to show you when they go back to green. Keep an eye on the slideshow for all the upcoming events on GSRC. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the We Stand United. This is the 11th event. We are currently on lap 26 under yellow. They're going to be starting lap 27.
Yeah, Bill, and one of the things we're looking at here is our leader right now. Old tires did not come in the pits. That is Granger. Outside of him, Cretion been fast the whole time. He did come down. That's fresh tires for him. And fuel at that matter.
I would imagine old tires probably the biggest disadvantage we have here is under the start to see if he can get that rubber down. Probably not so much after he gets his speed up. Granger in that Wrangler machine, that yellow and blue Earnhardt colored machine on the inside. Cretion on the outside, the number 2, as they go side by side through 1.
Yeah, the 0-2 on the outside is getting that push from the 20. That is Skinner. We haven't talked about him yet, but now he's in a position to make things happen. Pushing Cretion on the outside, trying to get him to the front. Cretion's done this before. Let's see if he slots in as soon as he gets the opportunity. He's not quite
tried
clear.
to.
It's very close. See, Cretion tried to do it now 3 wide down in a 3.
And what happened is, okay, once Cretion decided he got contact.
It looked like Cretion slid up a little bit. That is Cretion up in the air and around. The 20 also involved.
That was Skinner. What happened was when Cretion tried to duck in, then Skinner said he'll go around, and they didn't get lined up again, and then Cretion got into him. If we can go far enough back, you'll see that Cretion and Skinner are side by side, and then Cretion decides he's going to tuck in front of the leader. And Skinner said, well, I'm not too crazy about that idea. I'm going to go on the outside of you. There you see it, Smitty.
Yeah, you can see there he is on the outside. As the 20 out there, the 2 looking for a lane. The 20 just doesn't quite get it done there on the inside. Getting to the back of the 0-2. That is day done for the 0-2 for sure. I would imagine the 20 is also bent up. Looks like there's maybe the 15 going by there. Hard to tell who that was. Might have been Joshua Wolf having an issue. Hard to tell.
And to be fair to Cretion, it looked like Granger in the inside line might have drifted a little high and maybe scared Cretion, who was in the middle. We talked about Cretion and bad luck, and he finds it again. I'm not sure with these horrible finishes, his way into the chase may come via the checkered flag, because I'm not sure if, with the kind of tragedy that seems to find him every race, as we see the number 8 playing with pit lane again. Granger's got staying out. With the kind of tragedy that keeps finding Cretion, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make the chase on points.
Yeah, the good news is for him is that there are multiple ways of getting it done. As you can see, someone trying to race him off pit road there, hopefully able to get it done. It's real close at the line. I think that might have been the 68. Indeed, it was Cartwright. But yeah, going back to the chaser, this guy's got a lot of time. Whether it's going to be points or not, all you got to do, quote, all you got to do is get a win. But there is a more than one way to do it. So if the points aren't looking good, you find yourself having a good day, you put one together, you can make yourself in there. Really too bad for him, because we knew he was going to be fast the entire time, having been in the front. One of the guys for the pole there at the end missed it by a little bit. And when you're able to be at the front with these fixed setups, you're definitely showing that you are able to drive it, make it a little bit better than everybody else. It's too bad for him.
Well, let's talk about a couple drivers that just are coming out of the pits right now. And that's James Mullins, who's the multiple winner so far this season. And again, yeah, I don't know if it's the racing gods that are doing this to me, or if it's just Mullins and Mullis, playing with my head. But right behind James Mullins is Jimmy Mullis. Seems like that's been going on all season. Mullis had a much better experience in pit lane this time. Kept the car straight.
Well, and the other thing going on for Mullis too, remember we saw him at the front. He was actually right there, got around Reader and whatnot. He was actually P2 coming in the pits the last time when we had that caution. So it's don't be surprised if we actually see a little bit more action out of the 3-4 before this thing's done.
See here as the pace car comes across. If the lights go off, then we'll stay with you guys for a pace lap around here. If they stay on for one more time, we'll leave you for another break, as we're getting real close to me breaking out the show tunes. We don't want to do that. I also, oh, the lights are off, so we'll stay with you. Oh, they're on again. So before I sing memories, we're going to leave you right now. Keep an eye on the slideshow for upcoming events of the Global Sim Racing Channel. We will be back in just a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's Live As It Happens coverage of the We Stand United. This is the 11th race, the Geico 275 laps here at Talladega. We're under yellow and green, but the lights are off the pace car. Look forward to this going green in just a few minutes. Your leader up front, Tad the Lone Granger, in that number 8 Wrangler machine. Just to the outside of him, a driver we've seen many times on these series, Zach Wadet. Pace car is in. Granger pacing the field, being pushed by the number 1, Kenneth Reeder. Reeder has led before. Granger on some very old tires gets a nice jump out there. The inside line starts to bottle up a little bit. They start to accordion. The outside is nice and clean. That 18 looking good. Wadet on the outside, but he's not getting any help. Reeder tucking in behind Granger. Giving Granger a push. Look at that. 18 out there doing it all by himself. Zach Wadet's got that thing wired.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him yet either. He's been kind of hanging out by himself a little bit, being quiet. Well, now on the outside, hopefully he gets a little bit of a push here because he's having to try and make things happen on his outside. The 11 now, right on the back bumper. Hopefully they come off the corner, get a bit of a run, but it is Granger out front with the number 1 pushing him. The 1's been out there the whole time. You can see the 17 right there behind him as well. A little bit of damage on the 17, third driver on the inside, but on the outside it's 18 and 11 by themselves. They need a little bit more help. They're going to take the fight to the inside row.
Nolan Sutton back there on the outside, right behind the 18 machine of Guadet.
A few new names, a few new faces as far as this race is concerned. If you guys that haven't been out there, you can see the back end of the 17 also seeing a little bit of love today. The 8 going back and forth, trying to choose his lane. Could get dangerous. You do that a little bit too much. The 8 outside and the back inside. Here comes the 18 and the 11 on the outside.
We're going to go lock up. We're going to onboard with Prater and look at that damage ahead of the car, just ahead of Prater there, that 17 machine.
Yeah, you know, the downside of that too is even if it's not affecting your car all that much, it's kind of like a sign saying, hey, pass me, I got damage. So that's tough to do for the 17. He's able to hold station pretty good, but it does look like he's having a hard time unless he's right with him. Look at the outside right now, that's 21. On the outside, that is David Nanan. Not exactly the smoothest front end either on that thing. So a lot of cars here on the sharp end, a little bit of cranking, a little bit of damage going on, not helping the aero.
Well, I kind of like that 17 machine as they go past the lap car doing a good job keeping it on the inside. That 17 machine.
Up on the inside. You see that as the number 1 moving on up the track. That was very, very close. I think we might have had a smidge of net code there between the 1 and the 18. That is a very, very close call. We're going to go ahead and go 4 wide behind him. No big deal. Very, very close call there at the very, very front. That would have wrecked a lot of race cars.
Yeah, the 11 machine currently running second on the outside. Oh, and boy, he almost gets tagged by the 17. Oh, that was close as Thompson almost got into the left rear of the 11. Almost sent Sutton. Sutton is really having a hard time in that 11 machine, keeping it straight.
Yeah, this is not the most tidy bunch we've seen as far as the drafting is concerned. It's even Freeze a little bit of a crinkle to his hood. If they're going to be nose to tail like this, you got to be smooth on that wheel. 11, a little back and forth there. Very, very close. He's trying to shove that 18 on by, but he's having a hard time keeping it right behind him. Really, really tough. Possible 3 wide situation. The 1 taking a look inside the 8. The 8 trying to find his way around. Going to lose back quite a few paces here. He might lose that whole lead here in a second.
Guadet on the 18 gets a push, but he can't be feeling comfortable with what he's seeing in the rearview mirrors from Sutton, because Sutton is, that 11 car is going left and right.
Yeah, this is some scary stuff right now. If we were talking earlier about maybe dropping back a little bit, remember it was the 8 that we saw pushing a lot of drivers earlier and dropping way back. He's back in the mix and out front. You think that might be a good spot to be, but with how nervous these cars are looking right now, Bill, I don't know if the front's where you want to be.
Going on board, looking back at Sutton in the KY machine. You can see him now. It looks like he's peeking to the outside. I don't think he's really peeking to the outside. I think the car just kind of drifts out there.
Well, normally you might see that a little bit too, trying to get a little bit of air.
Oh, maybe that's
air
it,
on the grill. But the nervousness of it, it's not like smooth. It's not like you get out there and then duck back in. It's definitely a touch and go situation right now here at the front.
And there's a nice little pocket, as you can see there. You look at the 3 machine back behind. Boy, the 3 and the 17, almost like the 3, because that 17's been banged up so much. It's like the 3 can kind of nestle his nose right in a little pocket. Keep it straight. Boy, the 17 is also wiggling. My spidey senses are tingling here.
That's never a good thing, especially here at Talladega. We talked about it in that 3 race. If you've got a spot where you think you're safe, that's going to be the spot that's going to go bye-bye. It's very, very close. You see the damage on the 17, the back end of that car. Not looking good at all. But here in the draft, it's not hurting him too much. Although it does look like a little bit of a push coming off the corner there. Things can go ugly in a hurry, but here comes the 1. Took another look at the 8. Now it's 3 wide, 17's taking a look. This is tough right now, guys. It's a matter of when, not if, I think. 3 wide right now. 1 driver to the outside. I believe that is the 11 heading backwards. The outside's not where you want to be. Excuse me, it's not the 11, I don't think. He's on the inside row. Just pushed the 18.
I give Guadet credit there. He brought along his partner. He brought along Sutton. I think I might have cut Sutton loose and cut in front of the 8 there. Sutton is really left and right, but doing a good job. He got Guadet to the front. Now making a move on the outside. Well, look who it is. He made a pit stop. He dropped way to the back. Who is it? It's that number 5 machine, the Mullins man, James Mullins.
Yeah, we saw the number 5 doing a little bit of body work, a little bit of adjustment to the aero on that car in pit lane. Having a hard time getting going in the straight line. Well, guess what? She's going real good right now with a push from the 21. We talked about it before. 34 of Mullis right there with him as well. Now we got a bit of a train on the outside. These guys working well together all day.
Two by two. And now, now we're in trouble. Now the 11 is in the middle.
Oh, he's up and down. That was 34 he got into. The 11 went high, grabbing the 34. I think the 34 is still going. I think he's still going, but that is all she wrote as far as being in the front group. Big damage on the 34, no caution out. That is too bad for him. The 11 goes up the hill, grabs the 34. 34 backwards. Now the 11 starting to lose some speed as well.
It was Nolan Sutton was having a hard enough in the 11 machine, was having a hard enough time keeping the car straight when he was just 2 by 2. When he got in the middle, I just couldn't keep that couldn't keep that 11 going where he wanted it to. No yellow though.
Yeah, no yellow. Nice job by the 34 of Mullis to actually keep things going the right direction. No yellow right now up front. It is the 18 and the 8 side by side. They've got help behind. That is the 21 on the inside, that 1 on the outside. Getting help all the way through. 3 and then the 5. So it's 2 by 2 for 3 rows deep. 77 now trying to make a push on the 5. That's a good looking number 77 good wrench car. Still clean. Keep an eye on Dossett. He might actually make things happen here at the end. We got a lot of drivers still have a shot here in the top 10 or so with fairly clean race cars. A little bit past halfway. It is Granger out front now definitively with nobody that is outside.
Yeah. Granger was getting a nice push by Reeder, but he first chance he had, he ducked down in front of Guadet. Granger and Guadet know each other. They've raced a lot together. Now Reeder making a move on the outside, getting some help from Mullins.
Hey, we got some talent, some experience on the outside there right now. You got Reeder and Mullins. Mullins, obviously, 4-time winner in the championship. He knows how to get things done here. Big shoves from him. Down to the inside goes Reeder. He's not going to have anything of it. Now just on his outside, Mullins. Going to have to get some help from the 77. Look, clean looking car there. We get around the lap driver there. I believe that's number 20, Skinner.
Good job from Skinner staying out of the way.
There. And now it is Reeder out, then Granger. Now trying to surge back on the outside is Mullins. With the 77 pushing him. 18 of Gaudet there in 5th on the inside row, 3rd row, so 3rd lane back. All these guys starting to play a little bit smarter now. This looks a little bit more tidy than what we saw about 5 laps ago.
On board with Mullins, looking at Granger right now. Mullins leading that outside line.
Kind of a helpless feel there being out front. You're just, when you're on the outside row in the front there, you are relying on somebody else to give you the shove. You just try to be smooth and consistent, not make any big issues so the guy behind you can push. And right now it's working. Bit of a surge from Mullins here on the outside. Watch as he go down to the corner here. Hard to tell where we are in the corner. There goes the inside line, starting to surge back. You see the 1 now with the advantage. He's got a shove from Granger in the 8 that come out of the corner. Look, here comes the 5. Get the shove from behind. Now 4 cars on the outside. He's got the help. Can they get it clear by the time they get down to turn number 3? He's going to be clear. He ain't going to bring the help with him.
Oh, he left Dossett out to drive, and Dossett did a really good job. Brian Dossett in the 77 machine. Really good job of pushing him and keeping it straight. That 77 machine is like a slot car. Boy, that thing is really straight.
Yeah, it's looking good. In fact, he's got a shot at maybe leading this lap to come around that dog leg. Remember that start-finish line. It's not like Daytona, a little bit further down. It's going to be the 77 at the line. So he may not have been able to drop down, but he is going to lead the lap. Look at it, a little bit of side draft from the 77 there. He's trying to make things happen craft-wise. got that help from the outside. That is the 51 of Prater. We've seen him up there all day too. So the new driver in the group is the 77, and he's getting help from another guy we haven't talked about a bunch, and that's Prater.
I like the look of that 77-51 team. I'd like to see them keep it going there. We'll see what Doucette does if he ducks inside, if he gets to the lead, if he leaves Prater hanging out there. So they fall back a little bit now. Oh, and look at there's Mullins is coming out in front. Mullins doing a little blocking, moving to the middle lane.
Yeah, he did. He moved to the middle lane, but he's opening up down on the inside for Reeder. Mullins going to get that lap lead, but Reeder's on the inside. He's going to go ahead and get that run and help for Granger. Whoa, that was real close. Real close as the one almost gets into the 5. Still 30 laps to go. Anything can happen here with a lot of time left.
I think Mullins might have said, I'm going to see if I can do a little Dale Earnhardt Jr. here and see if I can get out in front and negotiate both lanes. I don't think he was able to quite work as easily as he planned. I think he was planning on staying to the outside, going to the inside. The Granger drifts a little high, but everything's okay. Meanwhile, now Mullins stuck on the outside. Oh, a bump from 51 behind Doucette, but Doucette keeps it going.
Yeah, that was a checkup where not everybody was on the same page. On the outside, Mullins didn't quite have the run. 77 did the check, and the 51 was not ready for it. Bit of a tap, no harm, no foul. They're still rolling.
But look at Doucette. Doucette is really, look at him. He's going to be able to push. I like this combination, too. I like Doucette as the pusher. And he's going to be able to get Mullins back out to the front, I think.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm not a big fan of this kind of running back and forth between the two lanes. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think if we have some kind of big issue with this lead group, that's what it's going to be from, trying to go back and forth. You see Mullins coming down, he's going to have it clear. And in turn number 3, Mullins, definitive leader on the inside row. 77 is going to have a little bit of a push from the 51 on the exit. I don't know if it's going to be enough to lead this time by. Mullins, new leader. We got a few guys
Granger coming in. Yeah, they remember Granger stayed out. So let's stay here. Let's look at these guys. We have Sutton coming in. We have Granger cutting in. And Bobrovsky also coming into the 10 machine. We haven't heard much from them. We'll keep an eye on them when they come out.
It's got to be a smooth stop. You can't mess this up. If you're going to make a mistake, it's got to be under yellow. Looks like it's a good smooth stop. No issues. Going to be looking at fuel and definitely right sides. Look like left sides from behind. Right sides only, it looks like, from Granger.
The problem is, Smitty, they've got to stay on pace for about 8 or 9 laps because that's how much earlier they came in.
Yeah, either that or they get a yellow that comes out. Look at this right now. That is the number 8 of Granger. And right with them, the number 10, that is Rosky. Now, both these guys know how to get around the joint nicely. We haven't talked about Trevor all day and that number 10. But this is what you want. If you're going to make a green flag stop, you got to do it with somebody. You got to have some help. So those guys have just laid their bed. It is what it is. They got to push. Back to the front, you can see it is still Mullins out front. That is that black and purple number 5. Right behind him, the number 1 of Reeder. On the outside, the 77 Doucette. He's getting a shove as well. It is 2x2 for good. 5. Now starting to fall back a little bit as the outside. Inside row about 4 deep.
Doucette and Prater there have been together. That's the 77 and the 51 for quite a while. Now here comes Doucette again with a nice push from Prater. Gobbling up piece by piece. And there's Mullins again. Yeah. What he's not able to do is get out there far enough so he can keep the 1 from his. Maybe he's tried to do it. Now there's Mullins out in front. Now let's see if he dips back down. Yeah, he does. He's trying to negotiate both lanes. Let's see. This is some high quality racing here. Look at the run. Doucette gets another good run. He's not going to be able to get out there this time, though.
Some of these guys are definitely thinking about positioning and where they want to be, and you can also try a few things. See if you can work the top, work the bottom, etc. You see the 77. real close to the one. The one came up a little bit. That's a bit of that side draft going on. The 77's been pretty strong on the high side. But, yeah, you try to find out the timing, find out how close you can get and how comfortable you want to be with these guys.
We're going to give you a number here. It was 43 seconds. That was the distance from Vorosky to the leader. We're going to see if that Vorosky or the guys who are with Vorosky's out there with Granger right now trying to stay on the lead lap. And they dropped about 0.8 of a second. They are not keeping up here. So they're in need of a yellow flag.
Yeah, the only thing they got going for them is maybe they can catch these couple of guys in front of them, and that group right there of 4 can maybe team up and make things happen. It does seem like the group of 2 in front are not going to be going quite as fast. I think there's some damage with those guys. I believe that is the 68 of Cartwright from earlier. Those guys are just trying to make things happen as best they can. So the 8 and the 10 go around the outside. Maybe for their part, the 68 can jump in there and tag along. But, yeah, 8 and 10, they're definitely going backwards a little bit.
Back to our lead group, and it's a group of 2, 4, 6, 8. Looks like 9 cars up there in front.
Yeah, the first guy doing a lot of that side draft I saw was actually the 1. He was doing a little bit of that earlier as he tried to make his way to the front. Right now what I'm seeing is that 77, the black car on the outside, starting to get a little bit closer. You see him start to get just a little bit of the inside of the dashed marks going through the corners. He's trying to grab a little bit of that side draft. Got to be careful. That 1, though, starting to peak up a little bit. That's where things can get poor in a big, big hurry. You can see up ahead, they are coming up on traffic. It's going to be a matter of when, not if, with these guys.
Now they're coming up on, this is Joshua Wolf and Robert Cartwright. Wolf is 8 laps down. Cartwright, though, 2 laps down.
And I saw on screen there, that was actually the 5 of Cartwright, or excuse me, the 5 of Mullins moving up the high lane, gave the 1 the inside. Just kind of moved out of the way, and the 1 took it. Now that being said, that 5 car's been pretty strong, but only grabbing right back.
Yeah.
He might think that 77th, the guy he wants behind him, try to make a push all the way to the end. You can see him up there in the upper right-hand corner. That is the 77 pushing the 5. That is a good tandem right there.
And then that's the move that Mullins makes there in the 5. He ducks down inside a reader.
I'll tell you, if you're just you got to be getting a little bit frustrated, man. You keep pushing that up there, and then every single time you push somebody to the front, boom, they duck in. That's it. 77 needs some help.
Yeah, it really. It's happened to Descent every time. And now Descent's finally... Let's see if he goes to the inside. He's been on the outside for quite a while. We haven't talked about, Spinny, about some of the cars there. Maybe we'll run down those 9 cars that are up there in front. Well, we'll wait for them to clear traffic here. There go by the 4. That's Chase Sutton. Then on the outside we talked about, that's the 15 of Joshua Wolf as they try to go around. And Robert Cartwright, they do a good job. Now the leaders have gotten into single file. Let's talk about who's up there running up in front. That's James Mullins out in front of the 5 machine. Right behind him is Reeder in the 1. Guadet, we've seen a Roth back there running in 3rd in the 18 machine. That kind of citrus-colored number 3, Nick Parrott. The 77, I like that car, Ryan Doucette. Then we'll go back, stay on the inside. We'll talk about that outside lane in a minute. It's Prater in the 50, it's Ryan Irby in the 60 machine, and then the last car back there is the 24 of Travis Henderson. Now, the guys I missed are the guys making a move on the outside. That's Derek Prater out there in the 51, and David Nannon in the number 21 machine. There's your 9 guys up front.
And it's not a big surprise, too. These guys have been together most of the race. There's only a couple of guys that we were talking about earlier. They're no longer with us up here, but this has been the front group. These 9 or so drivers have been out here the entire time. They've been pretty smart. We've had a couple of close calls, but we're starting to settle down here. 20 to go, and we're going to have this bunch fight it out at the end.
Really, that's the only real battles going on. Maybe get a quick screen time. We go back to 11th position, Finian DeCuna, just because he's doing so well in the points. They're running 11th right behind Cordell Cologne. Those guys running also in the mix back there is Mike Manley, but he's a lap down. Just trying to get a little screen time to those guys who aren't running out in front. But meanwhile, back to the front. And we really roll the dice, don't we, Smitty, when we leave the front, because anything could happen up here.
No, absolutely. It's now you start seeing that inside line. They've been nose to tail there for a bit, this front five. The outside's starting to come back. And if you're going to have a shot at it, you need to have that help. As you can see down on the outside, that is the 51 leading the 21, the 24, the 60. He's been 3 wide a couple times out of the 60. So he knows how to go all lanes as needed. These guys are going to come up on lap traffic one more time. So far, lap traffic's been really good. Hats off to all those guys, making it real easy going to the outside, letting these 2x2s get through here without any issue.
Well, I got good news and bad news here for the guys like who are running in the back, Granger and Bobrovsky. The good news is green flag pit stops are going to be any minute for these leaders. The bad news is I'm not sure even after pit stops if you guys are going to be able to hang with those leaders, because they've been increasing that distance. The leaders are going to be coming up on the back of Dakota Bowen, running in 17th position, and Matthew Cisna, though. Those guys are in a battle. They're battling for 16th right now. They are the last car on the lead lap. And here comes the train. Bowman and Cisna go to the outside. Reeder gets on through. Mullins leading the way. Gwinnett. Parrott still running in 4th. The guy that I think is the sleeper to keep an eye on, the 77 machine, Ryan Doucette, on the inside.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if a Doucette gets out there and has a shot at pushing, or even getting pushed, and maybe on the inside lane, I think it could be a little bit of a different story. We could be talking about the 77 a lot more. As you see on screen, the one a little bit back and forth there. You got to keep it nice and tight here. It's going to be real interesting to see how this thing goes. We've been talking about all race long. You go back and forth like that, it's real hard. You see 3 below the line, probably trying to grab a little bit of air on that number 3 machine.
Reeder right up behind Mullins. Gwinnett, Parrott, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they line up now 6 in a row.
You can see now they're basically all single file. It is just the 60 of Irby. Again, we've seen him on the outside a couple of times. He's no stranger. He's been out there the entire time. Now I'll have to fall back in. It is nose to tail for your first 9.
15 to go, and actually I'm assuming they need to come in. I hate it when I have to assume this, but based on Granger having to come in, assuming Granger took all of his fuel, I would think these guys have one more stop left. I wonder if they're lining up to get into pit lane.
They might be able to make it the entire way. It'll be interesting to see what happens all the way to the finish.
$14 to go. Yeah,
sounds like they could be coming over the radio with a pit call right now.
Yeah.
So I think you were right, Bill. Now we'll see who does it when, and you got to make sure you do it smooth. This is where it could come back to those early stops because there was no issues. They had draft the whole time. Right now, your leader is the number 5. He's got the one right with him. 18's with him, the 3, and then the 77. Who's going to make the call? Who's going to blink first?
You know, if I had fuel, I'd stay with the leader. I'd stay with Mullins as I could.
77 stays out. 5 stays out. This could be big. Couple of lockups there, but I think everybody probably got it down to the right speed. You see the 1, the 18, the 3, the 51, the 21, all in for pits. Now, what do you do? What do you do for strategy here? I got to imagine maybe right sides only. Right sides only and fuel, but you got to make sure you do it with everybody else at the same time.
Oh, the 18 overshot his pit. Gaudet overshot his pit, had to back up a bit. But he's out. No tires.
No tires, fuel only. Just enough to get all the way to the end. A lot of guys leaving in first gear, back end real squirrely as you go. These guys are all going to have the draft as they go. Good news for them. They should all be blending on the back straightaway. Now our leaders are looking in, the 5 and the 77, making their way down pit road.
Boy, they came out pretty stretched out. The first car out of the cars pitted was Reaper. He's got about a second back on Gaudet. I gotta get that sorted out here.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye on Granger and Rosky. Remember, they were the first ones to pit much, much sooner. They are going into 3 right now.
And honestly, they did not get on the back of, I think it would be like Nick Parrott is the last car that took the number 3 machine. They're not going to get there.
Now you got Reeder going across start finish right now, and Granger just coming on the back straightaway. So bit of a ways back. Now we'll see where Mullins and those guys come out. They're coming around to the back side, onto the back straightaway. Here comes Reeder.
Look at, and Mullins and Doucette come out nose to tail. Here comes Reeder with all of his momentum, but I think those two guys, Mullins and Doucette, I think they've got it rolling now.
One you can see right now, big reason why is it is nose to tail for those guys. Now look at the shove. Nice checkup for everybody. The 60 is going to lose a little bit, but right there on screen, had just for a second was the 77 and the 5. Those are your leaders. The 5 is your leader, the 77. Second place, they were nose to tail all the way through. That's what gave them that little bit of an advantage. Now they got about almost a turn's worth of a lead on the trio of Reeder, Gaudet, and Irby, as those guys came out together, a few guys behind. Now what's going to be interesting is there should be enough time for them to get in line, start pushing, and catch those front 2 guys, but they can't have any shenanigans. They just got to get after it and be smooth.
I'm going to give you the number here. It's 2.7 seconds from Doucette. That's the guy who's running in second, the tail end of the lead train, back to Reeder, the engine of the second train. We'll see if those 5 cars get lined up and catch him down. But I'll tell you, Smitty, if there were 2 guys that I would want to try to outrun him, I think it's this Mullins and Doucette. I think those guys have been the smoothest of all the cars I've seen so far.
Well, we talked about that earlier, didn't we? We just can get the 77 in a spot where he can push, not have to worry about it. He might be a guy to follow and make things happen, as they have some shenanigans getting around the 17. The leader, number 5 of Mullins, not the happiest about that program, but look behind him. Here comes the rest of the pack. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That pack will catch him. The question is, will they have enough steam to get around him when they do?
They've knocked off about 0.2 of a second this lap. There's only 9 to go. They can't dilly-dally. Oh, but yeah, they are coming. 2.3 seconds back now.
You see on screen right now, this is with Reeder. See up there in the distance there, those 2 cars in the distance. Oh, we got trouble right in front of them. Right in front of them, they're both coming up the hill. Looks like no caution.
I think it's okay, though. Oh, he didn't know where to go. He got into the back of Reeder, got into the 17.
The 17 was up high and decided to come back down to the bottom, completely messing up the number 1. The 1 got it woed up, a little bit of contact still with him, but the 17 was high, and then he ended up coming back down. He would have been fine on the high side. I wonder if he was still trying to gather it up.
Looking at the replay now. What do you see, Smitty?
I don't know what the 17 was thinking there, to be honest with you. That was actually the second time. Remember, he had just kind of made things difficult on the number 5 that was leading before, and just had another issue there. So I just think maybe I don't know, etiquette deal or a protocol deal for the 17. Didn't know he should have stayed high. That's real too bad for the chasing pack. You know who is great for right now? Mullins and Doucette there, 1 and 2.
Because now that lead is up to 2.8 seconds. They cut it down to 2.3. if those guys get together back there, they can still run them down.
Yeah, they still got some time, but it is they got pushed. They got pushed big time. There's a lot of momentum lost with that whole situation, and I don't know if they're going to have enough time or not.
Because some of the big guns are not in there. Reeder was one of the faster cars, so now he's not in the mix anymore. So the 4 cars that are trying to do it, it's Irby, Nannon, Gaudet certainly is somebody who's been up there, and Travis Henderson. So we have, so you can see the last lap times up there right now. They are getting the down, though. It's down to 2.4, 2.3 now. They're coming.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can stay nose to tail, they can make some stuff happen here. You can see the 5 and the 7-7 are doing it on their own. Behind them, you have Irby, you got Nannon, you got Gaudet, and you got Henderson. They're all nose to tail. That 4. It's 2 against 4. 4 is the advantage on paper. 2.1 at the line here.
What'll be interesting, Smitty, if they, with 6, I think they're going to catch him actually before the last lap. If they were to catch him at the right time, they would blow those 2 guys, blow the doors off Doucette and Mullins.
Well, I'll tell you right now what's going to happen is Mullins and the 77 are going to get really wide. You start having that train come up on you. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the timing, when you get caught, when you can start making things happen. We know Mullins is real good at playing a couple of different lanes. The 77 has been a little bit more, excited about where he's going to be. As he comes right up here, you can see he's trying to get a little bit more of a shove. Look in your upper left-hand corner.
Yeah.
You can see the gap now down to 1.5 seconds, or even less as they get to the line here.
5 to go when they cross. If I was Doucette, I was almost think maybe about, as they start to catch me, maybe starting to pull out around Mullins. Make it a little wider, make those 2 cars wide if possible, make them go 3 wide to get me.
Well, if these guys are watching the relative and they're keeping an eye on what the gap is, they know they lost about 0.5 second last lap. Remember, it was about 2 seconds they came across the line, and then it was 1.5 after that. It has stabilized a little bit now. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, still only about 1.5 seconds. So a little bit of good news for our 2 lead drivers. At the end of the day, I think we're looking at the relative, looking at that gap going, they're going to catch us. So it's try to make that gap as long as possible and wait as long as you possibly can.
One more thing Doucette has to think about, though, is the yellow flag. And it's getting to the point now where if a yellow flag were to come out...
There it is.
There.
That is at 5 to go at the line. They might be able to get this thing done still. 4 laps to go, so that might be it. They might get one more.
We're looking for the yellow. Oh, I think I found it here. It was the number 3 machine. Nick Parrott. Nick Parrott got into it with, if we can find it, got into it with Granger. And actually, maybe not Parrott, it was Fabrowski is in there. Yeah, it was Fabrowski got into Parrott and got into the 51 of Prater.
Yeah, the 10 was in the hole there. The 10 was trying to go down the middle in the 3 wide situation. Looked like that back end started getting a little bit light on him, and he ended up going up, and they come back down. Innocent victims, number 3.
Well, now, I'm never good at calling these, Smitty. You're probably better at these. They come across with 3 to go. Do they have time?
Well, I don't know. It's really going to come down to whether or not this thing gets cleaned up. There it is. You got 3 to go at the line. The lights are still on. It could be a 1-lap shot.
I was just trying to get the words out of my mouth there where I've seen it before where Doucette had the strategy. I'll sit back here in second and wait till the end. But every lap you sit in second place from laps 1 to 5, you you risk being caught out by the yellow. Nonetheless, a great race from Ryan Doucette.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, he was the one doing a lot of work on the outside, doing a lot of pushing, and and then remember he had to drift on back and kind of, just reserve himself. Okay, I'm going to try and go to the back and see what happens, as nobody would go with him. He had to do all the work, get those pit stops done the right way. P2, even if he doesn't get another shot at it, he's had a heck of a race. Of course, that being said, Bill, I mean, if he does get another shot at it, he's going to be on the outside. So it's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, that's true. And a shout out to James Mullins as well. I know he's won 4 races. If this doesn't go back to green, he'll be looking at his 5th victory. But he had to go through the field. He took a yellow, was off sequence. And I was surprised to see him up there. He worked his way through.
Yeah, absolutely. He's earned it too. He put himself in the right position. We saw him make things happen at the front. So definitely one of the guys to beat today. And right now, P1. See if these lights stay on.
Bit of satisfaction, too, to win with open setups and then win when it's all in the hands of the drivers here, as these guys are all pretty much spec racing today in fixed setups. All right, this is very important here. We're looking at what a great camera shot by our director, a Dougie Beard shot, as we're looking at the lights, and they're staying on.
Of course they are. Well, that's unfortunate right there. We were going to have ourselves a heck of a finish under green. It looked like things really come down to the end. But on the flip side, hey, you got to give it up. Mullins put himself in position. Both him and Doucette made that call to not go in with the rest of the group, and ended up being the right one. Right now, Mullins on screen, number 5 right there in the black and purple car. Looking like he's going to pick up win number 5. Just behind him, 77. Smart move by those guys. Well done, gentlemen.
Ryan Doucette, they were going to be run down. It would have been interesting. Well, they take 1-2. We look back, maybe pan back a little bit here. We can go through the field before we go to break, and then we'll go quickly to break when they cross. Assuming everyone has enough fuel to finish, number 60 car, Ryan Irby, going to come across in 3rd. In that Bass Pro Shops machine. In the Mobile 1 machine, the number 21 of David Nannon. Great race from him in 4th. Smitty, who do you got in 5th?
In 5th, you got the 18 on screen right now. The 18 of Guadet. Remember, he was right to the sharp end. He did a lot of pushing himself. Still looks pretty clean, too. Next is the 24. 24 Henderson, doing a lot of pushing himself. I'm a big fan of that 2-4 looking car, Jeff Gordon colors.
That's good.
Then Reeder, number 1. He was at the sharp end all day long. Thought he had a shot at it there for a bit. Then obviously had issues with that lapper. Can't believe we didn't go into caution at that point. He is in the 7th spot, Bill.
Then we have the lap car of Chase Sutton. Between them, we go back to the Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback machine. Tad the Lone Granger back there in that beautiful Wrangler machine. In 8th, number 8. One more spot back. If I can find him, it's the... Trevor Borowski there in the 10 machine. Boy, that car is banged up. You can see on the outside. And then Blake Heather in that number 7 Coors Light machine. It's also banged up. It looks a lot like a short track race here.
Yeah, remember, too, the guys that are 8th, 9th, 10th there. 8th and 9th, though, Granger and Vorosky, remember, they had that early stop off sequence. Just kind of running around. Yeah. So it could have maybe a little bit worse for them until that whole deal went through. Heather, remember, he was our pole sitter. Obviously didn't have things go his way with that earlier issue. Both of them, or all the 3 of those guys, getting a top 10 finish.
And before we call the leader here, maybe we can get a quick shot of Cordell Colon. Last car on the lead lap, number 50, running in 11th.
But it looks like he might be having some kind of issue. He hasn't gotten across the line just yet, man. I hope.
Come on. He's
able to make it to the end.
Doing a little off-road race there to get it across. But meanwhile, It'll be a while before he gets there, but let's go ahead and see if I can make this an exciting call as we put the camera back on our winner, James Mullins. Gonna win his 5th race of the season, race 11 of the Geico 200. Remember, 15 minutes on the phone could save you 15% on your car insurance. Give me a little plug for the sponsor. James Mullins, your winner of today's We Stand United Geico 200. And with that, we'll take a quick break. And now, this time there actually will be a slideshow, I believe, of the upcoming races. Am I correct on that, driver? Or director? Yes, I am. So this time, well, I was incorrect before. This time we will have some slideshows, upcoming races. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back for driver interviews and closing credits. Talk to you in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's live as it happens coverage of the We Stand United Geico 275 laps here at Talladega. And you just saw James Mullins win his 5th race of the season. Brought it home just in front of the man who, I'm going to call him Mr. Smooth, Ryan Doucette. Man, he had a great race, up from 24th position, picked up 22 spots to finish 2nd. Ryan Irby, also a run from 16th on the qualifying to finish 3rd. 4th place goes to David Nannon. Rounding out the top 5, Zach Guadet. Travis Henderson and Kenneth Reeder brought it home 6th and 7th. Todd Granger got off cycle with pits, and him and Trevor Vorosky couldn't bring it home. Got tangled up a little bit at the end there. Bring it home 8th and 9th. And rounding out the top 10, Blake Heather. Smitty?
After that, in the 11th spot, you do have the last guy on the lead lap, Cordell Colon. He's going to be in that 11th spot. First driver, first lap down, or 1 lap down, is Finian Duchna. He's going to be in 12th, followed by Nolan Sutton, Dakota Bowman, Matthew Cisna, Robert Cartwright, Greg Thompson, Mike Manley, Derek Prater, and Nick Parrott running up until the 20th spot there, Bill.
Hidden Blackjack, Joshua Wolf. Catching 22, Alex Skinner. Chase Sutton in 23rd position. Jimmy Mullins had trouble. He was up front early, falls back to 24th. And same thing, Mr. Bad Luck, Mr. Broken Mirror, Brandon Cretion in 25th position. Thomas Henderson, 26th. Brad Walsh and Colton Davis go 27th and 28th. Jeremy Poole back in 29th spot. And I think those are the only guys who actually took the grid. A great race today. 29 drivers started, and 11 of them finished on the lead lap. And now we're going to see if we can talk to our winner again. We'll bring in the Mullins man, James Mullins. James, do you have a copy?
Sure do, buddy.
Well, that's 5 for you. This one was interesting. Let's talk a little bit. We talked a lot about you. Let's talk about this guy that was right behind you there. I don't know much about him, but he had that car on rails, and I'm talking about Ryan Doucette.
Yeah, it's I think it's a friend of Jimmy Mullis's and Colton Davis, and he's usually pretty quick. So we hooked up there early in the race, and we just rode together, and we was in the same channel TeamSpeak, so we communicated together.
There are some guys that make you nervous when they're behind you. There's some guys who are you feel pretty confident with. He was able to keep that car straight. Michael Smitty and I, we were both calling the race, we noticed you were trying to do a little Dale Earnhardt Jr. there sometimes when you were up in front trying to cover both lines. Kind of hard to do, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had Ken Reeder push me there for a long time, and I knew he was getting hot, and I thought to myself, well, I'm going to go up in the second lane, let him push me a little bit, kind of keep both of them a little warm. That way they can't push for a long time, and I can stay out front.
Well, you seem to – now, how much setup – these are fixed setups today for Talladega, right? So how much work do you do on your setups usually? It's an open setup series usually, is it not?
Oh, yeah, usually it is. I think the plate tracks and the All-Star race and stuff like that is usually fixed. But usually our official team, we spend probably – I'd say 10 hours a week at least on setups.
Well, James, congratulations. I'm going to ask you this. You don't have to answer if you already answered this time this season. Ask you already who your favorite Disney princess is?
Yeah.
All right, then we're not going to go there. We want a different one. I hear some little ones in the background there, so go give them a juice box, and congratulations on your win today. James Mullins, your winner.
Thank you, guys.
James Mullins with some little ones in the background, which brings up the question, do infants enjoy infancy as much as adults enjoy adultery? I don't know, something we'll maybe get Jimmy to talk to the kids about. Let's see if we can find the second place. We have, oh, there he is, James Doucette. This is going to be a great interview. Let's see if Smitty can talk to Ryan Doucette, our second place finisher.
Hey, Ryan, Smitty in the booth here, man. You got me?
10-4.
Dude, nice job. Qualified 24th, not what you wanted there, I have to assume, on a quali run. Let's tell me about that. Fixed setups, how you end up 24th with no time. How you end up doing that, bud?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get involved in the big one early on. So decided to start in the back.
Now, this is not the easiest place to get to the front. You obviously have to have some help to make it around the outside to do that. What was your standpoint? Obviously, you decided to start in the back. How tough was it to get to that lead group?
With the way the cautions were placed, honestly, not that hard. Also have my drafting partners, James, Jimmy, Colton. I'm sure there's more people that helped me during that race, but them mostly to thank.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 77 Good Wrench ride looked pretty good. Didn't look like you banged it up at all. Saw you doing a lot of work on the outside a lot of times. We also saw you pushing them all the way to the front where they would duck to the inside line. Was that ever frustrating for you? We saw you up there have a chance at it and then had to drift back to fifth and ride along.
Honestly, when I got back to the inside, I was kind of relieved. I'd been out there on the outside for a while. Got pretty close to James and whoever was in third at the time. And yeah, I was just kind of relieved to get back down to the bottom after a while.
Well, it was a heck of a good run for you, man. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Honestly, just anyone that helped me drafting-wise during that race. And James for the pretty good strategy call there to pit one lap after everybody else.
Hey, Ryan, it's Soup here. Before you go, I don't think you've raced much in this series. You're going to be able to race with us some more before the season ends?
Hopefully.
It was really good. Let me give you this last question. This is the important question. We're taking our survey. Your favorite Disney princess. Now, you sound like a youngster. How old are you, Ryan?
I'm 15.
All right, here you go. So this should be right in your alley. Favorite Disney princess, buddy. Who is it? You could date one of them. Who you dating?
Putting the kid on the spot here.
Come on, Ryan. Who's it going to be? Cinderella? You got Cinderella? You got.
Sure.
Oh, jeez.
Now that's great TV right there.
Oh, man. Ryan Doucette, your second place finisher today. And a man with no opinion about Disney princesses. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Those are our only two drivers who are ready for interviews. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Our race 11 of the We Stand United NASCAR series. We'd like to thank the people from We Stand United Motorsports for organizing this series and contracting with GRC to broadcast. And thanks to the companies and equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on our broadcast. The original music that you heard today is thanks to two people, and that's Eric Eckelman and Casey Lalonde. Now, I know that Casey Lalonde has a new album coming out, some new digital music, so go to the places that you see on the screen right now, download some of that stuff, and use it for many different occasions where it would be appropriate. Thanks to my mate Michael Smitty Smith, our director Jason Fleischley, and of course the Dougie Beard for his camera locations. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, and you can see archive races, your best bet, of course, is GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race for the We Stand United League is next week for the NVIDIA 150 from Kansas. And guess what? GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. For details about all upcoming events, as I mentioned before, go to the GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. And now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, it's time for us to go have fun storming the castle. So for everybody at GSRC, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.